my question was, are we too soft as a society? And it stems from, I mean, I was just looking at the mental, the mental health, and we've talked about that a lot. And like, I don't want to disparage anybody from seeking to try to make their mental health as best as possible. But I also look at like just listening to like my dad and my grandfathers and some of the stuff that they were able to deal with and how they were able to deal with it. And it was through mental fortitude and toughness. And I don't think that gets enough light, or we don't shine enough importance on how much that is necessary in today's world. It's not all You're not always gonna have good mental health days. You're gonna have bad mental health days.
Right.
But you're gonna have days where you feel like different thoughts come into your head, and the only thing that matters, the only thing that gets you through, some people that call it toughness, I say mental fortitude, but you got to have some kind of fight in you to keep pushing. And I think as society, that like we used the word coddle earlier, society has coddled people to the point, and luxury does that. We're privileged people. We live in America. There's places where we might not have that luxury, but with that luxury, there's also a responsibility to also find your toughness, because it ain't always gonna be. It's not always gonna be pretty days. It ain't always gonna be sunshiny. It's gonna be rainy days, and you're gonna have to learn how to deal with that also. And what gets it done on those bad days when you having a tough time is mental fortitude. And I think that doesn't we don't focus on that enough. And I just that was my thing. And my question was, are we too soft? Has the internet made us lose some of our toughness? And how do we get it back? If so, how do we get it back?
Mm.
And I think we kind of touched on it a little earlier. We talked about the religion thing. Kind of got me to where I think some of the answers are earlier.
Yeah. I think that we definitely have gotten too soft. And I think that also I think that the toughness thing is going to come back. Like as they continue, as they start to, as AI begins to take over, you know what I mean. We're going to see that the we need more people that are willing to do. And the job's not necessarily as hard, but the skilled labor jobs.
It's
We're gonna,
work.
yeah, it's
It's
work.
work.
We're gonna need more people. And it's gonna come full circle. But as far as the mental health thing, um, I definitely think that like you said, we all have tough days. We all have tough days. We all lose somebody. You know what I mean? We all have to cry about a thing, and because I think that and also I think another thing is that we try to hide ourselves from everyone. So in that makes it even harder when you do have a hard day. If you
Right.
you having a tough day and you having a tough day in front of everybody because you got to so call have everything together.
Now you gotta fake it.
Now you got to fake it, which makes it even harder. So then you go home and you take it home. You've been faking all day. You know what I mean? Now you come home and you faking in front of your kids. You faking in front of your old lady. You know what I mean? So it's just still on your back and it's just burying you. You know what I mean? So I think that at the end of the day, it's a balance. I believe that we are too soft, but we don't need to go to any extreme. You know what I mean? To OD on being tough, because then that can be to the detriment as well.
Yeah, I do agree with extremes, but I
Yeah,
think we definitely need to lean more
I would
into
agree.
toughness in today's society,
I would
because
agree.
What do you define as toughness?
just like mental, just dealing with your thing and pushing through, and not having to not always having to deal with like grace, but having accountability for the things that you go through, and dealing with those things with accountability, not necessarily needing the grace from everybody when you go through things. It's good to have it. I mean, you need it and it will be there, but the accountability needs to be there also to get up and I know this day is bad, but I got to be accountable to myself to push through.
Mm.
And I think that's something that gets lost.
Tone.
I actually think it's more an issue of gratitude. Like more so, we more so complain about things more than we are grateful for it. We focus on what's not
Yes,
good,
that's a
and
part
that's
of
where
it.
the real issue is coming
That's a
in at.
part of it. I
Uh,
Hmm.
totally agree. Yeah, I think gratitude helps.
mm-hmm.
Being grateful changes your mindset
Yeah,
when
because
you're.
when you just thinking about everything going bad and you complaining about everything all the time, then it's like, yeah, the world does seem like it's that way. Uh,
Yeah. I guess if I was to go answer your question, do I think that we're being is the society too soft? Is that pretty much the
Yeah.
answer? Probably. I think that that's what I lean to naturally. But if I was to give the counterbalance, I do think that most of my critiquing of like even like some of the shit that I do, even how I father and shit, is the adherence to older stereotypes, and then realizing where I pull back some. Like we're at a space where we understand that a lot of that toughness shit is like some ingrained bullshit that leads to suicide.
And I don't.
Well, no, I think that men have a like X amount rate higher version of suicide, not version, well, of suicide than women do.
That's true.
And a lot of it comes down to a lot of the pressure of these like classic sayings. Real says it sometimes in here, where it's like drink water, drive on, like straighten up your back, like just deal with the bullshit. In which the reality is that at the same time we are humans. We do have to deal with shit, or it festers and it turns into cancer. It turns into projection on your loved ones that can fuck around and be your kids or your old lady. Like these are real things that actually happens when you just bottle the shit in and take it and just drive on.
I got a question, and I don't know if you know this, but it's about the stats. So has I ain't gonna say the S word, has the rate of that increased, or is it remained steady over the last, like, say, 3 decades?
The unalived rate.
Yeah, like is that something that's gotten higher with modern times, or is that something that stayed the same?
I don't know. We're gonna put tone on that. He gonna figure it out for us.
Because I think that would be interesting, because I would say, like, I get what you're saying in that toughness.
I believe it's gotten worse as you think about like the idea of perfection. I think that we've embraced an idea of perfection that didn't wasn't.
It's not that, but I think the
But Tone, put suicide rates over decades. That probably is.
but I guess, like, is that happening because we don't have toughness? And that's my question. Is because we don't have the mental fortitude to keep pushing to where it's a give up mindset, and because like, I don't want to be insensitive, because I've known people that have dealt with, and these are questions that I've asked, even amongst close ones, that people I've had about, like, why did you just, like, what makes you just give up?
I mean, mental health is real, so we can't. We don't want to, and that's the thing. We're not trying to say that mental health isn't real.
I'm not trying to disagree.
But shout out to our next guest. We actually will get into a conversation next week dealing with a mental health specialist about mental health. But yeah, continue.
But I guess my question is, what makes people give up? Is it the lack of toughness, or is it the fact that we haven't been soft enough?
Or maybe you're dealing with like real shit. It's not like people haven't been unaliving themselves for decades and shit like that. Like people, whether it's the tough era or the untough era, they've been doing that thing. The thing has been a thing. I think that in general, to me, like that's why I say, like, how do we define toughness? Because it's such a like really subjective, like mystery word, in which we tend to over exacerbate like a lot of like the toxic shit of masculinity.
I think it's more like perseverance. Toughness is perseverance, because the thing is the
all right. So we're just talking about like dealing through really hard times.
Yeah, just dealing with the thing as the thing happens. As life is life, and you know what I mean.
And that's where I say I can agree with that, but most of the classic tropes of what toughness is, and then I'm a backtrack, because I don't even know if I specifically agree with that. If it doesn't mean go get help if you are inside a space that's really tough. Because at the end of the day, like that's what resources are there for. And if the idea is that I'm only going to deal with this in my head once it becomes overbearing, then that probably leads to that next word that we keep, trying not to say, where like it's a give and take to it. And again, like I actually like I'm on y'all side for sure, but I definitely see the other side of the coin.
I mean, I see it too. That's why
me as a father, that's something that I make sure that I'm overly conscious of, especially with like. There's a saying that says, "Ignorance is bliss, knowledge is the burden." Right?
Knowledge is the burden.
Is a burden. Where there's a bit of like we are in the information age, and even our kids understand shit. They have so much information right in front of them.
They got all the information.
All the information
Information
right in
isn't
front
a
of them.
thing like
Shit
data.
should be a little bit easier when you're ignorant to shit.
Nah, facts.
Like, oh, I'm just a little sad. That's so much easier than when like a kid can Google, and then all these other things start like trickling in. And I think that information piece makes it to where, like, as parents, we all have to be way better parents than any generation before us.
Oh, facts. So you got to deal with that information. Like our generation, even like my parents. Like I remember, like information was a barrier. Like I remember, like we'd have to go to the library. My parents, I used to ask them so many questions. They would just buy books just based on the questions I would ask. So like nowadays,
That's
kids
cool.
don't have to, like, you can Google all those questions I had.
That's crazy, Johnny. Also, I literally had like, it probably was like maybe like 40 books at my house because I was a Y kid also.
I used to tear my parents up with that question.
Like, growing up, we had the Y books, and it was like a series of books that asked, so why does, and then it just was every single thing
My parents,
you could think of. And I used to just sit and read them and shit.
My parents had a book. It was called 1,000 Whys. Like I literally asked them that. They was like, I guess they found it and they bought me a series.
My daughter's at that stage right now.
Yeah.
My daughter's definitely at that stage now. But why?
Yeah.
But why?
I used
definitely
to tear them up. But now the Whys are like, they're Google away. Like there's no like.
Or have we all been to WebMD? In which that Google will fuck you around and you think some shit that's not even what you really feeling.
Truth.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And that's, I think that I kind of hit on that a couple weeks ago with depression, where too many niggas be saying they got depression that just be sad.
Yeah. And
depression is a real thing also.
Well, if we're all depressed, nobody's depressed. Like,
but it's actual real niggas depressed. And that's why I don't fuck with that statement either.
No, but I'm saying, but if everybody's claiming depression when they're sad, then that means real depression doesn't get the focus and emphasis that it deserves, because it's too many people that are just sad.
I like the idea of, like, if everybody depressed, a bunch of niggas is lying.
No, that might be a better. I like the way I said it. If everybody's depressed,
I like that one.
Nobody's depressed.
Yeah, I like that one.
It's some depressed niggas out there, bro.
No, it is definitely some depressed people.
I don't want to discount that shit.
But we all know, I get it. I'm gonna stop. I ain't gonna down that hill.
He's taping up a box. And you
keep going, start taping up
the box. But yeah,
we got a comment.